Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Let's ride. So guys, it's Money here, HH Half Up here for another Euro breakdown, and we're here breaking down France, man. So guys, remember to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. The deadline is June 11th. Click the link below to join my Fantasy League, where there are prizes to be won for coming first, second, or third. Click the link in the description box below. So look, man, what we're doing, France. World Cup champions, one of the heavy favorites, and I have my man Jersey here to try and break this down. So before we even look at the team and so forth, so Jersey, I mean, do you think that, because see, we've seen this happen before, whether it was like whenever a team are favorites, it doesn't always work out. Italy 2010, France 02, Spain 2014. Do you think that France will be able to sort of handle the pressure of you have the best squad, you are the clear favorites to win? Do you think that would actually help them, or they could maybe be hindered by that pressure?
I honestly think France will. As I said, I think France will win the Euros. I just think that I know there's a lot of pressure, and there's been times where the winners of the World Cup get knocked down the group stages. I wouldn't be surprised if next year France get knocked down the group stages, because it seems to be a pattern. But I honestly think France will do it, just because they've decided to strengthen again in terms of Karim Benzema has been out for the France squad for such a long time, and I've wanted him to be part for such a long time, and now that's another force to really trouble the Euros. So I'm confident.
So I think even beyond that, because I think that's obviously the biggest story. So even before we look at the team, the biggest story is the whole Benzema thing, because again, I don't know why Deschamps decided to backtrack. I mean, like, it's great for us, but I don't know why he did so, because he had the perfect explanation. Because when he didn't win the Euros, it was like, man, you should have taken Benzema. So if he didn't win the World Cup, guys would be like, man, why didn't you take Benzema? But the fact that he won the World Cup without Benzema, he had the perfect response to anybody pressurize him and say, hey, look, I did it without Benzema. So what do you think his thinking was bringing Benzema back into the team when he had a good case not to?
I think one of the main reasons is, obviously, I know you're a Chelsea fan. I love Giroud for France, but in the World Cup, he wasn't good enough. But I think with Benzema, there was a situation, I think it was like a sex tape scandal a few years, long time ago, and there's a fallout between him and Deschamps, and they didn't want to speak on that. But I think when the first thing I saw an interview in French, he said, the first step for me to bring Benzema back is we had to sit down together and talk. And they had the chat, they put the differences aside and said that, I think it was the form that Benzema's been in for the last few years is exactly what France need up top. And I know, we won the World Cup without Benzema, and played Giroud up front and then Matuidi on the left, or Griezmann as a cam. But for me, Benzema is exactly what France needed, and I think Deschamps thought, I can't keep this going forever. It has to be put aside at one point, and that's what he did. And he just said, we just got to move on.
So before actually we bring this up, let me even ask you something, because this is always funny whenever you have guys, because even in school, I always had guys who were like half and half. So if England play France, let's say in the second round and so forth, who do you root for?
England, because I've seen France win everything. England have won nothing. So, it's very hard because I'm half British, half French. But for me, I've seen France win the World Cup. I've seen France have won the Euros. England have won the World Cup once, and that's it. Nothing else. And I can tell you, I've seen the limbs in France where everyone was near the Triumph celebrating with millions, flares. I just can't imagine how crazy England would be if England won the Euros.
Oh no, it would be mad. I think anybody in England know that if England were to win just the Euros or World Cup, this place would be mad. But look, let's bring it up, man. Let's bring up this crazy squad, man. So how we do this? We're always going to break this down in sections. So the keepers, defenders, and midfielders and attackers. So first of all, we're going to look at the keepers now. So Hugo Lloris, Steve Mandanda, and Mike Maignan. Now this is interesting. Now this is what I've always said. I guess he's the captain, and you see, because I always use this example because, again, a colleague of mine at work is Croatian. And even if Modric is the captain, my Croatian colleague said that the spiritual leader of the team is Mandzukic. So I think even if Lloris may be wearing the captain's armband, the spiritual leader of this team is Pogba, as we saw in the behind the scenes and the World Cup. I've never been sold on Lloris, but someone actually, because I think I was doing like a Q&A or something, and someone showed me like the stats of Mike Maignan and how good he's been for Lille with regards to his stats of like goals saved and so forth. Now, I know this would happen, but let's just say you are in charge. Forget Deschamps, because Deschamps is a full lawless. If you were in charge, would you still stick with traditional stick Lloris, or would you say, Lloris makes a lot of mistakes? Yeah, he makes some choices, but he makes a lot of mistakes. Would you actually do something crazy and actually go with Mike Maignan to be your keeper?
That's a good question. For me, personally, I'm going to stick with Lloris, and the reason is because in the World Cup, he was absolutely brilliant. He did make one mistake, and I think that one mistake was the reason why he didn't get the Golden Glove, and it was not the Golden Glove. It was best keeper because he decided to play around with the ball, and then was it Mandzukic?
Mandzukic, yeah.
Put it up between his legs. But there are some really good keepers out there. There's like you got Mesle, who's on 21s. You've got Alban Lafont, he's also really brilliant. I would love a Mike to get some game time, but the problem is I haven't seen enough of him in a France shirt. I've seen, but for me, I'll keep Lloris, and I think this and the World Cup probably his last tournaments, and then I would want someone else pick the captain's armband.
Okay, so let's look at the defenders now. So, because I also got a question for this as well. So, Pavard, Leo Dubois, Raphael Varane, Prenel Kimpembe, Lucas Hernandez, Luca Digne, Clement Longley, Kurt Zuma. So, we have to talk about Laporte. Do you think Laporte was hard done by?
Yes. I've wanted Laporte in that France team for ages, and I do not understand why he was not picked. I just can't wrap my head around it why he can't pick. I know, 18-19 season, around that time he was a Nations League. I don't really care. I know European qualifiers. He should have been picked. He's probably, in my opinion, the two best defenders in that World Cup was Umtiti and Varane. Umtiti was brilliant. Fortunately, now he's injury prone and he's not playing at all. But for me, Laporte. If Laporte was selected, I would probably play Laporte and Varane. But the problem is Laporte's now playing for Spain, which is a shame. And there are some defenders on this list which I don't understand why they're picked.
Beautiful segue. Longley. If you ask any Barcelona fan, I think they would say that if they had a chance, they would rush Longley in the streets and try to assault him, because this guy has literally been mistake upon mistake upon mistake. And what I cannot wrap my head around is, it's one thing to not pick Laporte, but to go ahead and pick Longley, because again, for me, I always feel like this has to be a meritocracy. So I would just say, what do you think Deschamps has seen in Longley to include him in the squad?
I just think he's got. I think he's got favourites. Exactly like how Southgate has favourites. I do not understand Lenglets. Lenglets for me should not be anywhere near. I don't want to get a minute of football in the Euros because he's not good enough. The back two has to be Kimpembe and Varane. There's no other options. Zuma can probably play. like for example, let's say if France won the group enough to the point where if they lose or draw, they still get top. Then I'll probably play Zuma. I like Zuma, but he's not. This doesn't have to be in that front two. The centre back too, but I don't understand how Lenglets in there. He's awful.
Awful. Okay, look, let's just go over to the midfield now. So, of course, Kante, Pogba, Rabiot, Tolisso, Sissoko. So, I mean, I don't know. So, do you think there's anybody missing? Actually, so that's the thing. So, Matuidi, who was obviously a mainstay, I think he played every game at the World Cup. Do you think Matuidi should have been taken or hasn't really played enough games and so forth? What's your thing on him not taking Matuidi?
I think Matuidi's finished. Not as a player, but he's playing MLS now, and he's not the player he was. Like for some, we played him on the left. We played him as a winger in the World Cup. I personally don't think Matuidi should have been in there, but I can give you some shouts. Like you've got Nabil Fekir.
Oh yes.
You've got Hassan Mawar, but Hassan Mawar is under 21s. But I personally wouldn't have gone to Sissoko because I don't know. Sissoko does not play very much for Spurs, and he shouldn't be starting for France either.
So finally, the attack, and this is where things get crazy. So of course, Benzema, Giroud, Mbappe, Marcus Thuram, Coman, Ben Yedder, Griezmann, Thomas Lemar, and one of my favorite players, Ousmane Dembele. So it is crazy, 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 insane talent. But let me ask you this. We know what we will all do. Everyone else will know what we'll all do. Let's try and put yourself inside the mind frame of Didier Deschamps. Does he start Benzema or does he start Giroud? Just trying to think like, because okay, we all know every football fan in the world, of course, this is simple, but let's just put yourself into Deschamps because I've just been hearing things that, yes, he's been picked, but people are saying there's a possibility he may actually bring Benzema off the bench. So do you think he's brought Benzema, but he still is loyal to Giroud? Or do you think he's brought Benzema to say, no, I think Benzema is going to start with us? So what do you think he's going to do?
I think there's really big expectations now that he's brought Benzema back after so many years. And Benzema is the best French forward after Thierry Henry. He's the right now in terms of form. He's scoring. He's brilliant. He's such a good player. For me, he has to start. But we're talking about what Deschamps going to do here. For me, I honestly think he's going to start Benzema. I have a feeling he's going to play He's going to play 4, 3 up front and a cam, and I think he probably will do Benzema striker. Will play or some number. No, you'll play Mbappe on the left, then Ballon on the right, and then Griezmann as a cam.
Look, man, let's now go to where things now get interesting right now. So let's actually look and see how these guys are going to line up. So let's bring up our formation. And so, boom. So, okay. So, we can assume it's going to be Lloris, obviously. So who plays on the left?
That's a really good question. I'm going to go with Hernandez.
And who plays on the right?
Pavard. There's no Pavard.
Okay.
Always okay there.
Now, this is a big one. Who is going to be the defensive pairing?
It's going to be Varane and Kimpembe.
Okay. Kimpembe.
If there was Laporte here, I would probably start Laporte. But unfortunately, we haven't got much defenders.
How's the midfield going to look? So are you saying 2 base, 1 base?
We'll go 4-2-3-1. In a double pivot. That's interesting. Double pivot. Let me have a look at the squad again. I'll go a double pivot of Kante and Pogba.
Okay. And then on the left?
Mbappe.
Wait, but doesn't Mbappe normally play on the right?
Well, for PSG, he's playing on the left. a lot on the left. He's a left winger, and
Okay.
Griezmann's right. So Griezmann will go in the cam. Antoine Griezmann, and then right will be Dembele
Mm.
and Benzema. That is this very scary front three.
That's a very strong. That's a very, very, very. That's a very strong and I think this is different though because I think it was 4-3-3 at the World Cup with Kante, Pogba, and Matuidi in the three.
Yeah.
So obviously this is going to be a little bit much more different. But the thing though is that Griezmann, and I was just thinking about Griezmann. See, I can think with Griezmann is I think normally for like Atletico Madrid he'd play like near the strike, and I think at the World Cup he played more towards the flank. So do you think that he would be good and he would still be effective in this calm position?
I think he played the. I remember a few games recently where he's played cam. You know, we've got this thing in international football where we've got players who don't do f all for their clubs, and when it comes to international, they do well. And you've got players who do bad for international and really good for their clubs. Griezmann doesn't turn up for Barcelona that much, but when he plays for France, he's brilliant. So it's Griezmann needs to turn up, and for me, he's played that cam position, and I think he can do very well in that cam position. We haven't got really any attacking midfielders. That's why I would have liked Hassan Mawar, but then again, apparently Hassan Mawar in under 21s had an absolute stinker. So maybe it was
So would this be the lineup that you would go with against Portugal, Germany, and Hungary?
Yeah.
So you would stick with this all the way through?
Hungary, maybe you can rotate. Maybe Hungary aren't going to be that much of a force, in my opinion. So Hungary, you could probably go, okay, you could go Benzema, Thuram, or Giroud, Thuram. You could change it around. I still think this team's good enough. But I don't know what the games are. I don't know if France play Portugal last or Hungary last.
Because I think the first game is Germany. Portugal play Hungary first, and the first game is France against Germany. So Dembele, who obviously he didn't really play that much at the World Cup and everything, could this be his World Cup, Dembele?
Yes.
Because again, people have been like, he's not too good for Barcelona. But again, I said like his talent. Now, talent is one thing you need to apply, but I just think his natural talent is insane because I still believe he's one of the most naturally talented players in the world based on what he can do. So do you think this could be his tournament to show people?
Yeah, I think he will, but I don't think he'll score many goals because he's not. But I think him and Mbappe are bloody fast, very fast. If you remember the Champions League this season, it was the early game PSG versus Barcelona. It was the game that ended 1-1. But PSG was so lucky that Barcelona could not finish their food because if Dembele was clinical, it could have been 7-8. They were like Dembele was going in and in and in, but he just kept shooting.
No, I mean,
I think Dembele will get a lot of assists.
Yeah, no, because I think look, I mean, people sort of blame him for Barcelona, but like he's not a finisher. Like that's not his job. He's not a striker. Like he can score, but you can't rely on him to score. It's one thing being able to score. It's another thing where, we're now depending on you to score. That's a whole different thing. That is what you do for like a Benzema and so forth. So I said again, it's a very difficult group that France are in, man. It's a really difficult group that they're in. So obviously France, Germany, Hungary, Portugal. It ain't easy. So this is what I ask everyone during this whole thing. See, normally I ask most guys, how far do you think they can go? But I think because of where France are at, I think the probably apt question is, do France win it? If they don't win it, how far do they go?
Finals. As I said, I've predicted with friends and stuff. I think it's going to be a repeat of 2016 final. France versus Portugal at Wembley. And I think France will win it and get their revenge against Portugal for 2016 and finally get their win. Because I know Portugal are very good. They've got, Bruno Fernandes and they've got Ronaldo. But they haven't got a really clinical finisher like Benzema has this season. Mbappe is going to be really fast. I know Ronaldo's great, but he's not as fast as Mbappe. You've got Dembele, who's going to be really fast as well. You've got Kante, who in my opinion is the best CDM in the world. He's going to eat them up in midfield. And I personally would rather England win because I've seen France win everything. But I wouldn't be disappointed if France
and also because we could, if things work out, depending on where guys finish, even I think it's unlikely because you'd assume France and England would both win the group. But if for some reason England win the group and France comes second or third, we could see England and France in the next round. So, but for France, so you don't see, because my thing with France is that it's almost like too much of a good thing. It's like it almost seems like too obvious and too easy. Like if football was played on paper, nobody touches France. Like that team that we just saw there is that's a ridiculous team. But do you think that if there is a team, that's the best way, if there is a team that can beat that team that we just saw, which team can beat that team that we just saw at these Euros? Portugal.
Okay, as the final, I think the final is the thing. It could go either way. Because the thing is, right, for me, I'm talking about, it's very hard for me to say. Germany, very good team, but they haven't got a proper striker. Werner's not playing as well. But, you've got Sane, he's just come back from an ACL injury. You've got Gnabry's doing very well. Portugal, they'll probably play João Felix, Jota, Ronaldo. It's very hard for me to say, but and England have got, the thing is, England have got the team to win the Euros, but they've got a crap manager, like one of the worst national managers I've ever seen. So for me, it's Portugal. It's France, Portugal. But if France don't win it, I think Portugal will, because them two have got the best squads, in my opinion. England have got quite good squad, but it's very hard, it's very hard for me to say, but I think France will win it, no problem.
And maybe lastly, so what do you think Mbappe does? Because I think I think a big thing, no, that's a good thing. A big thing is the Ballon d'Or discussion. And I do feel that France have 3 potential Ballon d'Or candidates in Benzema, Mbappe, and Kante, And I think Kante is a really strong candidate, especially if France say what's up and they win. Kante could definitely be a good one. So if you were to pick one player out of that French team who you feel will be player of the tournament, who do you think it would be?
Kante.
Kante.
Hands down. The thing is, Mbappe is very good, and he's such a good player in terms of scoring, and he's going to be amazing. I'm a Liverpool fan. I want him at Liverpool, but that's not going to happen with the owners. But I think he's going to go to Madrid or stay at PSG. But for me, the thing is, that's why I think France will win it, because Kante's. The thing is, you can't tell me a player who's got man of the match 3 times in a row in the Champions League is not going to get Ballon d'Or. He's the reason why you guys won the Champions League.
Yeah, 100%.
Real Madrid could have smashed it, but he's just in midfield going, I'm getting all these balls, doing very well. He is like, he's, in my opinion, the best French midfielder, because Pogba in the World Cup didn't do much, and he scored 2 goals. He scored a goal against, I think it was the win against Australia, and then he scored the 3rd goal versus Croatia. Kante, though, was just eating up everything in midfield and doing very well. Kante doesn't get many goals or assists, but he's going backwards and clearing up balls.
So basically, because my last bit, so you think that, let's say Benzema or Mbappe finish with like the highest goals, you still feel Kante will still be player of the tournament?
For me, it's not all about goals,
No. I know 100%. Because my thing is that I know the value that Kante brings. I know the value that he brings. Just that it's how people will skew it. Because my thing is this, and I think this is the key thing, is that if Kante plays well, I don't know how you beat France. And I think that's one of the main thing. If Kante is playing well, balling, and doing what he does on both ends, I don't know how you beat that team. But hence why I'm so intrigued and excited for this, because I'm like, I just feel something's going to happen because it can't be that easy. Because there is no stronger team than that team that I just saw there. I mean, we did the whole Portugal thing, and Portugal have think of what Portugal have. I believe Portugal have the most options, and so I think they have the deepest squad. The most talented squad is France. The deepest squad in terms of options is Portugal. But that France team on paper is ridiculous. But again, football is not played on paper. So you're still saying France for the Euros?
100%. I still think France. Like for me, as you said, Mbappe. I think Mbappe will score. The thing is, in these international tournaments, you don't see many goals. Like the World Cup, the Golden Boot was 6 goals, and that was Kane. There's not a lot of goals. I didn't expect a lot of goals. I think Mbappe will get 2 or 3, and Benzema 2 or 3. But for me, I just think Kante will get a lot of man of the match performances because I think Germany will be like a easy game, like a 3-1 win, and then Portugal will be the one where it's like a 2-0 and stuff. If you don't know if you watched the game, but if you remember Nations League, it was I think it was France-Portugal. It was the game to put France into the semi-finals of the Nations League, and guess who scored the winner? Kante scored the winner. So I honestly think he's going to be one of the main reasons France win. I don't think it'll be the main reason because there'll be Lloris in goal, there'll be the defenders, there'll be all that, but I think he'll be one of the main reasons. And I know Portugal will deep squad. They can, if someone's injured, they can play Bernardo Silva right wing. They can play Andres Silva striker, João Felix striker, Ronaldo a striker. They've got loads of options. But for me, I just think France are just too dangerous. I know there's been times before where favourites don't win it, but you just got to think that this team is really, 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 really good, and I think they will win hands down. And in my opinion, if France win it, Kante will get Ballon d'Or. But the thing is, it's the whole Lewandowski shout where Lewandowski should have got it and then he didn't get it. But for me, in my opinion, it has to be in the now. If France win the Euros, get Kante that goal and give him Ballon d'Or.
Okay, man. So no, Luca, thank you, man. It's going to be an exciting Euros, man. And hopefully we can be able to do more reactions, hopefully through the whole thing, man. So guys, remember to join the Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Link is below in the description box, and we'll see you on the other one, guys. Peace out. Peace, 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 peace. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Let's ride.